Hi everyone, Rusty back here. Central Florida Weather Live. Been a little bit. Hope you're doing well. Wanted to jump on this late Tuesday afternoon, early evening, whatever you want to call it here, 6:41, and just talk about these storms at least for a little bit of time here because they've flared up. They are fairly active. There's a ton of lightning associated with them, and they're impacting some of our area here in Central Florida. Now, the biggest thing is we'll be watching kind of together to see how rowdy these storms end up getting. We do have a special weather statement on the southern side of this line, but again, if you're tuning in, more than likely you're impacted by some of these storms, and they've gotten rowdy this afternoon, and we've had pretty hefty storms develop the last couple of days. One thing about these storms is that they're not moving very quickly in any one location right now. So this is the loop over the last 30 minutes. And you can see places like Sanford and Lake Mary and Winter Springs and Oviedo all continue to see some pretty active weather out of this. And this is going to continue for us here, guys. The broad perspective showing you this line that's developed along I-4 in portions of Seminole and northern Orange counties, and then drifted back off towards the turnpike there as you get into Osceola. And again, the lightning counts with this are pretty impressive. You're looking at the live lightning data here at Central Florida Weather Live over the last 15 minutes. Very heavy rain right now. Will continue for Winter Springs and Oviedo on over towards UCF, University Park there, Alafaya, Union Park. You can see these blues and these fuchsias. That is very heavy rain, and even the opportunity for some smaller sized hail. There's no special weather statement out of this at this point in time. There is a flood advisory down through portions of Orange County here in this area. It includes Orlando, Conway, Azalea Park, Lake Nona, the Lake Hart area, Union Park, and the Executive Airport. They've had in this area 1 to 3 inches of rain, and we could get additional another inch plus in a couple of spots because, again, this is not moving very quickly. So the eastern side of Metro Orlando, very heavy rain in the area right now. A lot of lightning to go along with this. So the bottom line is it's not good travel, really dark skies out there, lightning, heavy rainfall, some isolated flooding, ponding on the roadways in some low-lying areas. Again, this is not severe storms, but they are producing some hazards in addition to the flood potential out there as well. And the special weather statement we have is going to be down into the southern sides of Osceola County towards Kenansville. This does slip into the far southwest sides of Brevard County, but at this point in time, this looks to avoid the I-95 corridor of Brevard County, but down 441, down the turnpike, there's Yeehaw Junction as well. We get over to the chat. Good to see everyone. Hi, Travel Jet Setter. Good to see you there. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Look, I know it's been a little while. Again, want to come on live when these storms are relatively significant. Doesn't necessarily mean they have to be severe thunderstorms, but, you know, don't want to come on too often with the garden variety storms as well. They need to mean something here. And, you know, this afternoon, as I was monitoring the situation, I saw that these were going to get going pretty rowdy and that they were going to be slow moving and impacting a fair amount of populated areas as well. Northern extent of this line is trying to get up to the Orange City side right now, so there could be some rain in that area towards Deltona. Sanford is kind of the far northern extent of this pretty impressive line. Again, it's not very wide from west to east, but it is relatively elongated down in the southern sides of Osceola County. Little shower there towards the Hamlin area, 429 in the western sides of Orange County. But the beefy stuff is going to be portions of Seminole in the eastern sides of Orange County. So again, with this, tracking heavy rain here, live at Central Florida Weather Live at 6:45. You can see some of that down 434, down 426 there towards University Park. The 417 is going to be wet up towards the Lake Jessup area, but further off towards the south. Pretty stormy right now towards UCF and Alafaya. Your live lightning count there on the top center of your screen. That's just the lightning strikes in the past 15 minutes in this view. And if you've tuned in before, I've actually filtered down some of the lightning strikes by actually the energy produced. If I actually had this unfiltered, it would probably be double or triple the amount. So pretty significant rain right now towards Union Park and Alafaya. This is going to try and slowly drift east, if anything. But again, this corridor is where we have the flood advisory for 1.5 to 3 inches of rain. Now on the back side of this, there has been a little bit of rain that continues to try and redevelop right in downtown Orlando towards Baldwin Park and Fairview Shores up towards Eatonville. Stephenville, the Maitland area as well. So pretty wet towards 1792. Castleberry, just nice steady rain. Obviously some thunder at this point in time. You live in these areas, drop it in the comment section below. Let me know what you're seeing. Obviously, if you're here, I appreciate you. Giving a like to this live stream always helps out as well. But this is some pretty intense stuff right now, which for any late commuters are not going to be enjoying it. Towards the Alafaya area there, back over towards Bithlo, across 50 there. And our friends in Avalon Park, Avalon Park, it's going to be pretty wet across the beach line. That's the 528 towards the Wedgefield area right now. Again, pockets of extremely heavy rain. Let me bring on a few things here with the radar. So I'm going to switch over. We'll take a look at just the velocity product here. There's going to be some decent winds associated with this. Nothing extremely crazy. All going to be straight line. No rotation out of any of this. But obviously, we're going to have some gust fronts being produced here. And you can see that one that is down into the, again, southern sides of Osceola County, trying to get into the eastern sides of Polk County. So we'll see if additional storms will develop along that leading edge there of the outflow. Right now, it's back towards, again, the Kenansville, north of, south of Harmony and Holopaw, towards the Yeehaw Junction area that actually has a little bit of that activity. As far as any hail out of this, wouldn't expect there to be much, if anything, in the environment for today. Don't really see it. It's trying to ping on a little bit way down here north of Yeehaw Junction, as I mentioned, towards Kenansville. That's not significant, so not really expecting any hail out of that as well. Excuse me real quick, just going to grab my phone, one thing I'm keeping an eye on. Okay, so again, coming to you live, 6:47 on this Tuesday. First of all, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you very much. Storms do continue back down a little bit farther off towards the south. We've had additional storms developing towards Arcadia, but for the general area that we cover on the western sides here, I-75 towards US 19, it's a quieter day. Again, what we've been seeing the last couple of afternoons is these sea breeze storms develop, and then they get into the interior sections and they don't move much. Yesterday, it was portions of Lake County and far western sides of Orange County that had 2 to 4 inches of rain because, again, the storms just didn't move. Now, generally, we're going to lose the heat of the day and these storms will begin to wind down. But being in the summer solstice was just a couple of days ago, we're at the peak heating here as far as keeping the daylight as long as possible. So these storms might keep going for at least another hour and a half in one variety, way, shape, or form. Again, we see a little bit of lightning now developing towards Orange City. This is a kind of new development, a new cell up in towards the Orange City area, back down towards 44. So a little bit of lightning. And again, the general movement, but it's really just drifting right now, is on off towards the east. So the opportunity for some heavier rain and downpours to get back into the southern sides of Citadel County towards Orange City and the Deltona areas there. Little break in the action with some light rain in Sanford and Lake Mary. It begins to pick up down here towards Winter Springs and Castleberry, 1792, our friends in the Longwood area. Even heavier now towards Oviedo. Again, on this reflectivity map, when you see those flashing colors, those fuchsias and those blues, that is very high reflectivity here. In some instances, that would even indicate some small hail. Not expecting that for today, but comment in the section if you've actually had a little bit of hail, but certainly there's going to be more intense lightning. There's the storms right over the UCF area in University Park. And again, all of this is kind of building off towards the east here, but it's not moving very quickly at all. So if you're just tuning in, we do have a flood advisory, and that is in effect for portions of Orange County. Goes until 8:15 tonight. It's going to be for Conway, downtown Orlando, Azalea Park, Lake Nona, Lake Hart, the Union Park area, and then the Executive Park area, the Executive Park area of Orlando, the Executive Airport, that is. So many parks. That's not a park. That's an airport, Rusty. And then again, you can see these storms continue to move off towards the east, but it's solid rain, right? 1.5, 3 inches of rain have already fallen in some of those areas. We could get an additional inch plus in a couple of spots as well. And again, this will continue to move off towards the east very, very slowly. Now, on the far southern side of this is where we had our one special weather statement. That has gone away. So let me just go back and make sure that we don't have another one right now. Again, if you've tuned into Central Florida Weather Live before, typically my on-air system actually brings us the latest watches and warnings even quicker than taking a look online. And by the way, if you were on the last live stream where I cracked the screen of my tablet, I did get another one. So I do have a tablet here. It's all refurbished, but it works, and that's the most important thing for us here. So again, good to see you, Linda. How are you? Linda, they are trying to move off towards the east. Let me put them into motion here. This is going to be just over the last 30 minutes, and you can see where we had the special weather statement. Now, generally speaking, they're kind of moving south while drifting east, but the same scenario as the last couple of days, where as they try and move, they're basically not doing much. They're expanding more than actually having some forward speed. The upper level winds right now are basically non-existent. There's not a lot of steering currents here. So where we've seen these storms, and they've been developing off of old outflow boundaries. So we had the storms in Lake and Western Orange yesterday. They've now redeveloped farther off towards the east. You're in Titusville. It's going to get close to you. And something I'll keep an eye on, Linda. I mean, certainly there's some progression towards your way. If you look out a west-facing window, you're going to probably see some extremely dark clouds out there. But how significant they're going to be across I-95 is a big question mark, because, again, as we get towards sunset, we're going to lose the heat of the day, and these storms should begin to wind down in some ways. Now, we had some decent lightning hold on yesterday evening in some areas, but these are very intense storms. Again, the live lightning count going above 150 there for a time. That's just in the last 15 minutes within some of these areas. So again, the eastern sides of downtown, or excuse me, the Orlando metro area getting hammered right now. UCF, University Park, towards Alafaya. There's Avalon Park. Let's take a look at what this one is saying. So it's saying it's trying to actually take that cell and move it north, but generally speaking, I think it's going to be a little bit more off towards the east. It is trying to show some extremely small hail out of that. A max DBZ of 60, which is the reflectivities colors that you're seeing, that is relatively significant. That's a pretty good cell in that area right now. I'm going to switch over to what we call storm cell tracking mode. Just gives me a little bit better idea. Yeah, I would imagine it would be, Linda. Very, very dark in that area. And again, I'll be monitoring it for you. Generally speaking, I do believe the most intense part is going to rain itself out before it gets to I-95, but there is some progression trying to get into the northern sides of Brevard County with some of this activity at the hour. But certainly the most significant part right now in Seminole and Orange counties. Again, there is no active special weather statements. These are not severe storms, but they're rowdy enough that they did produce the flood advisory for basically east central Orange County. 15. It's going to be mainly for urban and small stream or ponding on roadways, low-lying areas, things of that nature. Let's get back over to the radar here. A couple other things I can look at real quickly. Take a look again at the winds, just to make sure. Again, most of this there's a little bit of a concentration of wind here towards Oviedo and Alafaya and UCF and University Park. It's not going to be significant. There's no rotation in it, but that is indications that we might have some good outflow with some of the storms that are being produced. That's also the area where we have some of the most intense rain. It's also very, very stormy down towards Lake Nona. Let me go back over to the reflectivity here. Just a lot of heavy rain for Lake Nona and the Medical City area there. You can see that on your map towards MCO. Of course, that is OIA, Orlando International, otherwise known as MCO in the old airport codes. There is Wedgefield. And again, even in just the last 10 minutes, this heavier activity has begun to sneak closer to Wedgefield. It's more light there at this point in time, but solid rain towards Alafaya and Azalea Park. If you live in these areas, let me know in the comments section. I appreciate you. And again, while you're here, thank you so much for liking the live stream, letting everyone know that I'm on air. And again, these storms aren't going to be the highest of intensity, but I wanted to come on because they did flare up very quickly. We had that special weather statement. We saw the flood advisory. I just thought, you know what? I've got an opportunity to come on here, talk to you guys, say hi. If nothing else, let me get this out of the screen here. Again, I just got this back, so I'm actually pretty happy to be able to use it again. I just had an opportunity to come on, and so I wanted to do so and let you guys know I've got you covered. Obviously, when these storms get even more intense as we get through the wet season here, I'll be on even more frequently. Now, this cell has ramped up a bit. certainly DeBerry over towards Deltona, just west of there as you get towards 44. This is going to be moving off towards the east, so I do expect DeBerry, Deltona, and Orange City to get heavier rain, good amount of lightning. Obviously, these are pretty noisy storms as well. Again, you can see the live lightning count there on the screen. It's hard to track this at this point in time. I mean, I could do a general, if I go to the manual tracking here and bring this up, I could, you know, there's no real forward speed with anything though. That's the problem. So, you know, if I draw this manual storm track here, let's see if I can bring this on, if it will let me. Let's see here. Okay. Well, right now it's not behaving anyway. All right. Fair enough, manual storm track, you win. Not really sure actually why it's not letting me do that, but I'll have to check it out. Might just have to reset something. But it's really insignificant anyway, because I can't, you know, we'd be going out 5 or 10 miles an hour. That's about it. I mean, if anything, again, these storms are kind of expanding in nature rather than actually having a forward speed. And where I lived, I sat there and watched the storms yesterday sit a few miles away from me for a couple of hours, and they never hit my house. We got a couple of drops of rain overshooting from some of the higher cloud tops, but that's about it. So my point is that if you're getting hammered right now, you're the areas that are going to continue to get hammered. So Oviedo and Chuliota, UCF, University Park, Alafaya, Union Park, Goldenrod, Baldwin Park, all getting at least some rain right now. Still some showers left over Conway, our friends in Delaney Park, a few showers down towards Pine Castle. And again, it picks up as you get towards MCO. There's Medical City. Let's see how far south it gets. A little bit of rain across 192, trying to get in between Harmony and Hullapaw. It's a little bit more spotty down here. This is actually where we had the intense storm that's getting in towards the Yeehaw Junction area. That was the special weather statement near Kenansville, but at this point in time, not seeing any of that becoming stronger or severe. Again, it would pop on the system here if we had that. Don't have the flood advisory. If there was a flood warning, that would pop up, and hopefully it isn't. But again, 1.5 to 3 inches of rain in this area already. If you live in these spots, let me know. Linda's just saying she's going to be keeping an eye on things here, and I don't blame you, Linda. Again, if you look off towards the west from Mims or Titusville, even back down towards Cocoa, you know, it's a pretty rowdy storms complex that's going to be fairly heavy in nature, but also not moving much. So it's kind of like if you're getting it right now, you're getting it. Just showing you again, we're relatively quiet up towards our friends in Flagler County. Volusia County is pretty much dry right now until you get down just towards the Deltona area. And again, a few showers trying to slip over that way. Towards Eustis and Umatilla, we're dry right now. There's just one little rogue shower near the Hamlin area of the 429. That is, of course, going to be north and west of Lake Buena Vista, south and west of the Windermere area. But again, don't be surprised if you live in the Metro Orlando area, especially from downtown east, that these storms are going to continue for you for the next little bit here. All right, so as we come up to the top of the hour, I'm going to leave the radar on. I've got to do something real quick, and then I'm going to come back on at least for a little bit longer, and we'll cover it here. But real quickly, I'll be right back in just 1 second. All right, gang, good to see you. I'm back. Full disclosure, I had something on the grill I had to take off because it was done. You know, leading my summer life with my family, but also want to obviously keep you guys up to date. But that's my promise here. Look, when these storms get going, going to cover them. It's been really marginal the last few days. We haven't had any severe thunderstorm warnings. But again, you know, I keep an eye on it every day. I promise you that. And so wanted to at least come on for a little bit today because first of all, these were impacting a fair amount of populated areas. They had gotten even more intense compared to the last couple of afternoons. And we had this special weather statement down here in southern sides of Osceola. Now, again, these storms will linger in intensity for the next hour. These are going to be very typical storms here for June. As we get towards sunset, we're going to lose some of the energy. Now, some of those will still continue with a pretty good light show into the early evening hours, but we'll start to see those fade a bit after that. So again, let's cover this for you guys here. We'll start up in Civil County right now. And again, this cell has really fired up on the northern side of this line in just the last 15 minutes. And it's been pretty solid. The lightning again is getting more ramped up. So Orange City, but especially Deltona, trying to sneak back into Sanford, DeBerry getting hammered right now. And again, you can see the live lightning count. So just within this view, we had no lightning 15 minutes ago, and now we have 9 lightning strikes. And this is going to go over the St. John's and the I-4 corridor there, and it's just going to be wet. Again, it's not going, you know, I'm not going to be surprised if we get a special weather statement to be produced out of these. I would be a little bit more surprised if we get an actual severe thunderstorm warning. But the flood advisory for east central sides of Orlando and the Orange County area is in effect because, again, in some areas we've already had 1.5 to 3 inches of rain. So the rain and the heaviest part is beginning to wind down in Oviedo. It's now moving over towards Chuliota, UCF, University Park. That was the wrong button. Sorry about that. On over towards Goldenrod and Alafaya. Again, we have this one little cell here that maybe it's a little bit more intense, and that's right over the UCF area. It's not going to be surprising if there's just the smallest sized hail. There's not that structure in the environment today to really see widespread hail for anything to be large. So 99% of these cells aren't going to have some hail, but there's an opportunity there that the radar picked up on that it could be some small pea-sized hail. Bithlo on over towards Avalon Park. And again, we follow the beach line out towards Wedgefield. It is beginning to sneak off towards the east, but very slowly. Again, these storms don't have a lot of movement. Upper level winds right now, not steak, Linda, no. Ribs, pork ribs, actually. St. Louis style from Costco, if you know them. So they're already pre-rubbed on there. It's delicious. You know, had them slow for about an hour and 45 minutes. It was just time to take them off the grill. You can see the storms down there towards Lake Nona. Now, it looks like the intensity of the southern side of this is beginning to wane a little bit. You know, we can look at the live lightning count. That's one indication. We've gone from 80 lightning strikes down to 22. They almost look like there's a nice little broad little cyclonic spin there a little bit. Again, I'm not expecting anything to get rowdy or anything, but within these, the features with these little mesoscale things too, these little mesocyclones, I can try and spin up a bit. A couple of scattered showers down the turnpike right now, and then back towards, again, far southern sides of Osceola County. Yeehaw Junction's getting hammered. If you see that flash, that was our special weather statement, but that cell's gone bye-bye. Now, we might get some wind to pick up, and as a matter of fact, since I've got it on, Rusty, let's go ahead and do that. Let's bring on our winds. First thing you'll notice here when this pops on should be the temperatures. Might take just 1 second to bring them on. There we go. And then I'm going to bring up the gusts. So if we've had a wind gust in your area, it'll pop on. There we go. We got a couple to look at. So we've got a 30-mile-an-hour wind gust last hour at MCO. It was a 20 at the Executive Airport. Let's see if Sanford reported a wind gust last hour. They did not. See about anyone else area-wide. Nothing too significant. Again, if you are viewing on the western side of the state, A, I appreciate you, and B, you guys are going to be quiet. Again, these storms have ramped up with the old outflow boundaries from the storms the past couple of days. They're very elongated from north to south, but they're not extremely wide from west to east. And it does look like, relatively speaking, the intensity is trying to come down a bit. That's good news because, again, if you're just tuning in, And let me just double check the information here. I don't want to miss it. I know it's going to be a flood advisory for the east central sides of Orange County until 8:15. The specific areas the Weather Service has included is going to be the downtown Orlando area, Conway, Azalea Park, Lake Nona, Lake Hart, and Union Park in the Orlando Executive Airport. 1.5 to 3 inches of rain has already fallen in that area. At least an additional inch or so is possible. They're not going to issue this flood advisory. They don't expect there to be any more rain, but you can see it continues to rain there. It is beginning to wind down in Winter Springs and Altamont Park towards Lake Mary, so we're getting a little bit quieter there with Kiowa Springs. Apopka's been dry towards Lockhart. A few showers right through downtown towards the Millennia area and Oak Ridge and Pine Castle. There's our friends in Edgewood, little lightning strike there. Again, these are good summer storms. The intensity of the lightning was one of the reasons why I wanted to pop on here. And also I wanted to kind of track this 7 o'clock hour, at least the top of the hour, because last couple of days, that's where the storms actually got most intense. All right. And then they hit that peak at sunset and came back down. These look like they're coming down a little bit quicker for today. Linda, who is jealous of my ribs, that would be the ones on the grill, not the ones right here, says that, she's watching from Titusville. And again, going to keep an eye on it. But if you notice that the eastern side of this has been pretty much kind of edged away relatively quickly. I can actually look at a couple of different things here real quick. Let me see what I want to do here. Let me go out to this broad view. And by the way, my other channel, Media Mundo, we're tracking this tropical disturbance there for our friends in the Caribbean. But this is just a good preset for me to take a look at a few of these other things too. This is going to be the enhanced satellite imagery. You can see up in Marion County earlier today, and I mean earlier today, we had a couple of special weather statements there. This activity has moved off towards the east. There was a cluster of storms south of Osceola County, Indian River County there, and then the storms that are currently in play. Let me bring up, let's see here, a couple of nice little things we can look at here real quickly. I'm going to pause that. Let's bring up the water vapor imagery real quick. You can see that the drier air, which is indicated in red, is on the western side of the state, but it is beginning to push everything off towards the east. So there was more moisture earlier west of I-4, and we had a few storms develop there earlier in the day. And while I'm there, let me bring on our live timestamp. And you can see that was around 3:30. And then those storms wound down, and we picked up additional storms here with another outflow boundary. By the way, MCO did have a 37-mile-an-hour wind gust at around 5 o'clock. All right, let's get back over to the live radar data. And again, at this point in time, tracking these cells here through the eastern portions of the area, it does look like they're winding down in a hurry. So that's pretty good. Again, I'm not expecting them to come back up. These are typical summer storms. They flared up with the heat of the day. They flared up along old outflow boundaries. And this is one of those things, guys, where, I'm going to be watching them each and every day. And when it's appropriate to come on and for us to get together and chat about them and track them live for you guys, especially when they become intense, when we have special weather statements and severe thunderstorm warnings, I'm going to be doing that for you here at Central Florida Weather Live. Great to see you on this Tuesday. It's 7:10. We're live here on the live stream on YouTube from Orange City towards Deltona. Again, this is one cell out of everything that's actually come up in intensity in the last 15 minutes or so. The lightning count continues to grow a little bit, up towards 19 strikes here over the last 15 minutes. So Deltona towards DeBary, Sanford, again, as far north as Orange City. So that is going to put Lake Helen kind of on the edge of this. I do expect this cell to drift more south and east. So this actually gets more of the Sanford area involved as well. Again, not going to be severe, but another round of fairly hefty rain and a pretty noisy storm with those lightning strikes coming up. We do have a break in the action, and this has really gotten drier in a hurry for Winter Springs and Castleberry. Oviedo, we're starting to see that come to an end for you guys. Still relatively quiet in Chulioto, but trying to pick up a bit. Notice that we've gotten rid of a lot of those blues. That's the highest intensity in the old reflectivity there. UCF towards University Park and Alafaya. Now getting over towards the Bithlo area. If you're just getting home from work and park the car, you're good to go, but it's raining fairly consistently there. It does get heavier in these areas in red for our friends in Azalea Park, in Conway, in Edgewood and Pine Castle. By the way, if you guys have noticed here, I've got all the street level mapping I put on there as well. So that's going to really come in handy when we're tracking some storms that are really intense in a very specific area. And again, the heavy rain continues for Lake Nona and the MCO area. Some rain towards Lake Medical City as well. Breaking the action till you get to Osceola County, and then it's all the way back down here towards Yeehaw Junction. So that's kind of the broad perspective for us here, guys. If you have a specific question about the forecast or what's happening right now, again, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. That one there is kind of rogue by itself. But I think the good news is that I don't expect these to get any more intense, okay? So we're going to have some lightning. We're going to have some heavier rain. We have the one flood advisory that's in effect, but I don't expect it to get any worse than that. Now, as far as where they're trying to go from here, there's not going to be a lot of forward speed. The upper level winds right now are basically non-existent, and that is one of the pushes as these thunderstorms grow higher in the atmosphere. Those winds, which typically also get stronger with height in the atmosphere, start to push those storms in whatever direction. And obviously the sea breezes colliding has an impact, or the East Coast sea breeze will march the storms west, or the West Coast sea breeze will march the storms east. Well, these particular storms are coming off of outflow boundaries, and there's just not a lot of wind to push them very, very quickly. But again, just over the last 30 minutes, we can see that the area that these storms are covering continues to shrink, and the intensity of the storms continues to come down a little bit as well. So I think we're looking pretty good here, guys, overall. This is the one cell that's kind of out there by itself. And this is another thing, you know, as we get together more often here in the summer months, that I'll be talking about, is when these storms can get out by themselves. And you notice that this cell is all by its lonesome here, right? There's a big break in the action. These are the ones that can take over and become more intense, okay? So as this larger area kind of chokes itself off, new environment is developing north of it to allow this storm to become more intense. And that's what we're seeing right now over Orange City, Deltona, and DeBary. It wouldn't, like, it's not going to be the most shocking thing if we get a special weather statement out of that. And again, you know, the one for the Kenansville area was a lower end one, 40-mile-an-hour winds and quarter-inch sized hail. But again, I don't expect there to be much hail out of anything right now. Let me throw back on the surface wind observations. And if the airport out of Sanford has a wind gust, it will show that. Bring on the temperature there, 81, and absolutely no gust. Go back over to the velocity real quick. Again, outside of the gusts being produced on the edges of these storms, I don't expect there to be a lot of wind, and we don't see a lot of wind out of this. This is just a good, healthy rainmaker, guys, with a lot of lightning involved. But again, keeping you updated, because I wouldn't want to be out in it right now. Would want to be indoors for our friends in Deltona and DeBary, especially for Deltona right now, right across I-4. Not going to be pleasant to be driving I-4 in this area right now. And again, some pretty hefty rain in that area. If I zoom out, we'll take a look at the lightning strikes right around 20. So it looks like this cell is holding steady as far as intensity. We had about 20 lightning strikes when I last checked as well. And again, back down here, we're looking a little bit better as well. The 30-mile-an-hour wind gust at OIA. Let's give one more big broad view. Western zones are going to be dry. And that storm back down towards Yeehaw Junction. So overall, guys, you know, I wanted to jump on because these storms were relatively intense. We had the flood advisory. I do think that we're out of the woods for anything too more significant to develop here. Towards Oak Ridge, Conway, University Park, Chuliota, Avalon Park, Lake Mary, Sanford, Deltona. These are the areas here that I think it's going to get the most intense activity, but I don't expect that it's going to be on the severe side as well. And again, for our friend Linda, who's been watching and keeping an eye out on things, again, if you notice that these storms aren't making much of an eastern progression here, this is the loop over the last half hour. They tried to get closer to Brevard County, but they've kind of rained themselves out at the same point in time. So friends, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream here again. This is one of those marginal days where I saw the storms flare up. I was concerned enough that I wanted to make sure that I got ahead of the game, right? I never want to jump on when it's too late. So I had that opportunity, so I did that. Happy to report that the intensity of these storms is coming down a bit right now. And even the areas where they're most intense, we see that reflectivity beginning to drop. We see the area beginning to shrink. Still, UCF, University Park, Alafaya, on over towards Azalea Park and Conway, pretty heavy rain, lightning, but more in the quote-unquote garden variety for summer rather than getting anything close to an actual severe thunderstorm. This would be the one to monitor. But as we're getting within an hour of sunset, more than likely it's not going to be prolonged. But again, out by itself, this is one area. And you can see that the lightning count has gone up just slightly. So it's trying to at least keep going. Hi, best day ever. I appreciate you tuning in as well. And again, if you guys want to help me out, because obviously we're just still getting started here at Central Florida Weather Live, I've mentioned it that I'm going to obviously be on more often as we get into the true heart of the wet season. But to let people know that we're on and just to get more eyeballs on us, just hitting the like button helps. Obviously, if you haven't subscribed, subscribing helps us out as well. Sharing this page with your family and friends and anyone who might be interested in it, all of that helps get more eyeballs on the channel here, and hopefully we'll get that as we get deeper into the summer months. But again, that's a pretty good storm there. Deltona, Sanford, rowdy storm, really dark clouds out there, by the way, as well. And again, this particular one is now beginning to slightly pull east, but more than anything, it's just shrinking. It's just raining itself out right now. Union Park, Azalea Park, Conway, Lake Nona. And then again, one more broad view to make sure I haven't missed anything. The little cell over Hamlin has died out. These cells down towards Lake Wells should be pretty much not a big deal. Even the one down towards Yeehaw Junction is relatively quiet. Again, Brevard County looks pretty good. Generally speaking, I don't think these cells are going to make I-95. We're trying to redevelop a couple of cells back over here towards Bellevue. You can see that. Towards Umatilla, could catch a brief shower. It's nothing significant though, and we're quiet on the western sides of Orange County, and downtown is beginning to get a little bit quieter as well. Edgewood, Pine Castle, our friends in Belle Isle, all at least with some heavier rain. Okay, friends, yes, Linda, the ribs aren't the most important thing. You guys are the most important thing, but yes, dinner is ready. Look, guys, this is going to be it. When these storms get going, they're going to be around dinner time a lot, and it just is what it is. But I'm happy to be with you guys and happy to keep you up to date here with your Central Florida weather storm. So I appreciate you guys. And again, each and every day I monitor the situation. If there's a situation I have to come on, I will certainly do that. Again, thank you so much for liking and subscribing. You guys have a great rest of your Tuesday evening. And whenever the weather is important enough to come back on, I will. I'll see you soon here at Central Florida Weather Live.